Okay, well, my name is Sarah and I run the foundation courses here in Trinity. So this presentation will be about the foundation course for mature students in Trinity and our partnership courses in Pearse and Plunkett College. The foundation course is designed to be a pre-university course for mature students who, for various reasons, haven't had the opportunity to study in university. So it's basically designed to provide you a bridge from a place where university is an impossibility to a place where it becomes a reality. And it's a year full-time course where you get all the skills that you need to go on and do a degree. The aims of the course, first of all, are to give you the satisfaction of learning in a third-level environment. Of course, it will be stressful, it will be demanding, hard work. At times, it'll be a right nuisance and you won't even be sure if you want to do it anymore. But essentially, it should be about the satisfaction of learning in a third-level institution, really engaging with subjects in depth in a way you might not have ever done before. It's about giving you academic knowledge of subjects that you're interested in, so when you go on and do a degree in those areas that you already have a lot of the basic foundational knowledge. It's about giving you confidence in your skills, so when you go into a lecture theatre in first year with 400 people, that you know what you have to do and what's expected of you. It's about giving you skills, so how do you write an essay? How do you do an exam? How do you use the library? How do you take notes in a lecture theatre? All these mysterious pursuits that are necessary components of a degree, we teach you how to do these skills. It's about giving you guidance, so you get lots of one-to-one guidance from myself as the coordinator and from Grania, who's the educational guidance tutor, lots of one-to-one support to make sure that your progress is productive and smooth through the course, but that also you move on and do a degree that suits you. And essentially, it's all about preparation, so it's a year of preparation for a degree. The course is delivered in a combination of tutorials and lectures. Most of your classes are very small, so you can have anywhere between 6 and 25 students in a class, which means there's no escaping. The tutors who work with you are massively engaged and motivated and want the best for their students. So there's no case of being able to hide in the back of a lecture theatre and hope that you won't be noticed, because they're such small classes. We know who's there when they're there and if they've done their work or not. I don't know if that's good or bad news. It's taught through a combination of tutorials, which is a small group, and that's where you're asked to prepare something, like maybe read a book or prepare a chemistry set of problems, and then you will discuss those as a group, and really there's absolutely no hiding. And then lectures, which is when the tutor will present on a topic and you take notes and think about it. It's not like the Leaving Cert, where everything comes down to a week or two of exams in the summer. Half your marks you accumulate during the year through continuous assessment, through things like tests, essays, assignments, and the other half you accumulate through exams at the end of the year. Everything that's done on the course is underpinned by our core subjects. So IT, study skills, and ed guidance. IT, it's obvious, everything is done through computers here in college, so you need to make sure your IT skills are up to scratch. If you have an ECDL or a very high level of proficiency with computers, you can be exempted from that. Typically, most people take it though. Study skills is where we teach you all the mysteries of how to study at third level, so your essay writing skills and so on. And educational guidance is where we work with you on personal development and also on what you're going to progress on to. You then choose to specialise in one of 3 academic subjects or streams. And the purpose of these streams is to make sure that you have the best preparation for the degree courses you're interested in. So someone would take the social science stream and study maths and statistics, psychology, law, economics and political science. I've missed one out there. Did I say psychology? Sociology, that's what I missed. There's 6 subjects and you take 5 of them. And that's for people who want to go on and do a degree like BES, psychology, law. It's all about giving you a really good preparation for those degrees. Somebody would take the arts stream and study English, history and philosophy if they want to go on into degrees in those areas, or classical studies, theology, world religions, a whole branch of more arts-based subjects. And finally, you would do the science stream and study chemistry, biology, physics and maths, and that will prepare you to go on and do a degree in science, health science, engineering or maths. But it isn't a case that you have to come in and say, okay, day one, I'm going to do physics and chemistry, this is what I want, because I definitely want to do science. You're given weeks to try everything. You're encouraged to go to every class. You're encouraged to open your mind and find out really what suits your interests, what suits your abilities, to make sure that it's the best preparation you can have for the degree you want to do. So these are the subjects: science, arts, social sciences, and core subjects. And we've already gone through these. In terms of the science subjects, some of you might think, oh, I do have an interest in science. I'd love to do a degree in natural science in Trinity, but I haven't done maths before and I haven't done chemistry before. I wouldn't be able for that. Well, you're right and you're wrong. It's a very, very hard path to pick up those subjects from scratch. But students have done it every year. And they come in with very limited maths and no exposure to science, and they work really hard, they get support, and they can go on and do degrees in those areas. So it absolutely is possible. The social science subjects are listed here, and everyone doing social science has to take maths and statistics, because there's actually a huge amount of statistics involved in all those subjects. So you have to make sure you have your maths up to scratch, and here's your art subjects. We also let students mix and match, so some students might combine arts and social science and do a combination of subjects. It is really hard work, and it is a full-time course, but we only have about 20 hours, 15 to 20 hours of classes a week, and that can be very chopped up. So you could have an hour in the morning, then be off for 3 hours, then back in for 2 hours. The timetable has lots of gaps in it. And in that time, you're meant to be studying independently, whether on your own, in the computer studio, in the library, or with a study group. So you're talking about 20 hours of study per week and 20 hours of class time per week. If you approach this as a full-time job in your mind and say, right, I'm going to be working full-time on this course, the chances are you'll succeed. And if you keep that up steadily during the year, it all comes good. It's not a very difficult formula. As I said, you're assessed through continuous assessment and exams, and the course is completely free, and you may be eligible for the Back to Education allowance as well. Because it's so demanding, returning to education is tough, and the commitments and essay writing, the demands of the course are quite hard. We have a lot of supports. First of all, we give you a small amount of financial support to help with things like photocopying, bus fare. But in terms of textbooks, you shouldn't have to buy any textbooks, because we can lend you all the core texts, and other books you can borrow from the library or read in the library. There's a huge amount of pastoral care, one-to-one support. For people who are struggling with maths, there's all sorts of different free maths help rooms where you can go and get help on a one-to-one basis with whatever maths problems you're working on. Equally, we have a free writing resource centre where you can get free one-to-one help with your essays. So once you've written your essay and you're not sure is it good, can someone proofread it for you? Can they help make sure your argument is coherent, that you've referenced it properly? Again, you can sit down with someone for an hour and make sure it's as polished as possible. We have a special dedicated computer studio, and we can lend you laptops. And then you can avail of all the Trinity student supports, because students on the foundation course are full-time registered students of the college. So you can use the sports hall, join the clubs and societies, get involved in the student union, counselling service, health service, everything is open to you. And because Gráinne and I like to have lots of fun, we make sure that there's also a social programme, because if you come to college and all you do is study, well then that's pretty dull. It is important also to open your mind to all the people you can meet, different pursuits you can engage in. So we have a social programme. A couple of weeks ago we went out to a table quiz, and Gráinne's team cheated and they won. And next week we're going out for like a Christmas party. In January we're going paintballing, which absolutely strikes fear in my heart, because last time we did it I was the target. But we do loads of different activities just to make sure that we all bond as a class. There's only 25 people, so the tutor students work together, just have fun. At the end of the year, you're assessed through continuous assessment in exams, and if you succeed in the exams and you meet the faculty requirements, you can compete for degree courses in Trinity. So basically, you have to get a minimum overall grade of 50% on the course, passing everything, and then you can be considered for degree courses. Every degree course in Trinity has places reserved on it for you, but you have to make sure you meet the right course requirements. So you can't say, I'm going to study philosophy, English and history, and then at the end of the year say you want to go on and do engineering, because it doesn't make any sense. You have to do the right subjects on the foundation course to progress on to the relevant degree. And again, you get lots of guidance in September and in October to make sure that that pathway is smooth. There's no guarantees though. So if we had, 10 people who all want to go on and do psychology, 10 people will not get psychology. We can't block book every single seat in every degree course. But by and large, last year, I think all but 2 people got their first choice. You have a very good chance. So you get your certificate in higher education studies, and that's awarded in the examination hall in Front Square in October every year. These are the degree courses that people went into from last year, and you can see it's a really broad spread, and the number beside it tells you how many went into each degree. We only have 25 places, so we also have 50 places that are offered between Pearse College and Plunkett College. So these are part of the CDVEC sector. These courses are run in partnership with Trinity, and they were actually designed with the Trinity Foundation course staff back in 2004. The award that is offered from them is a FETAC Level 5 in Liberal Arts, and you can actually use that award to progress onto a degree course in Trinity, NUI Maynooth, DIT, DCU, UCD. So it actually opens lots of potential avenues for you through the FETAC Link scheme. The course is delivered in Pearse or in Plunkett, and everything is assessed through there. All your classes are through there. However, students in Pearse and Plunkett also come into Trinity during the year for a range of taster activities, things like guest lectures, shadowing, social events, educational guidance workshops, and you can attend things like the essay writing workshops and maths help rooms and use the library. So you're very much a student in 2 campuses when you do those courses. To apply for the courses, it's 1 application form for all 3 courses. Okay? Applications, the deadline is the 28th of March, so they must be in by close of business on the 28th of March, and they all are done online. And on the blue sheet I've given you, it shows you the link to where you apply, and there's also going to be an application guide. Those links will be made live on Monday, so the applications, you can apply from Monday on for the courses. We need to get in all your references by the 28th of March and your supporting documents, so things like certificates from education courses you've done, your birth certificate, they all need to be in by 28th of March. Obviously, if you haven't completed a course by that time, you send them in afterwards. For further information, you can contact me or Pearse College or Plunkett College. We'll be holding an information morning on February 26th, and if you wish to receive an invitation for that, please just email, but don't email us all on Monday. If you won't email us on Monday, the system will crash. But too much. Tuesday's fine. If you drop us an email, we can send you out an invitation to that, and that's a whole morning when we go through this presentation in more depth. You can talk to tutors who work on the course, you can talk to lots of students who studied on the course. There's a coffee and tea session where you can actually just go up and approach people one-to-one. We go through the whole application process in detail, so I strongly advise you attending that morning. And the cakes are good. And we'll also have an application clinic on March 13th when we'll go through the application process in much more detail, because it is online, just to make sure that you're completely proficient in doing the application. So this is how you receive an invitation for the information morning. And we'll just put your name on a mailing list if you contact us. I'll leave that up. But I always think the best people to tell you what it's like are the students themselves who studied on the course. And whether you see it as bad news or good news, once you finish the foundation course, you get stuck with me for 4 years during your degree in Trinity, because we support and monitor your progress for the whole time you're here. So it's not like you do the foundation course and then we tell you to go off and do your degree and don't go near us. For the whole 4 years, you continue to get financial support, personal support, academic support. We're there. If there's any issue, however big or small, we're there to support you through your time in college, and our students have done really well. So 2 of our students who've come through the course and who are now studying in Trinity are here to meet with you today. They're Aoife and Robert, so they're going to come and speak with you, and then we'll be here to take questions. Okay?
How are you? I'm Robert. I'm in second year and I'm studying law and politics. And I did the Trinity Access program there 2 years ago. But what I say about it, I suppose, just I'll give you a bit of background how I applied for it. I dropped out of school after the junior cert and I got a job as an apprentice mechanic. And I'd worked in that for a few years and then emigrated after that for like 2 years, came back and I had no real qualifications, so I said I'd like to go back to college. So I was looking at degrees to do, and I had an interest. Over time, I got an interest in politics, and I decided I'd apply for the Trinity Access program. And I suppose just give you advice when you're applying, and that it's take your time, make sure everything is right in the application, no mistakes and things like that. Because I mean, obviously mistakes are going to look bad, but just really focus on the application form. And then when you go to the interview, I suppose obviously a job interview, you just sell yourself kind of. I think from my experience anyway, I think what they're looking for in the interview is probably not really a strong thing on the academic side, but more as if you're gonna last, you're not gonna drop out, so you're gonna focus on that that in the past, obviously if you've worked, say okay, I've stuck at jobs when I didn't like them and stuff like that and things like that, and kind of use that as a way of kind of showing that you're going to stick to the course. So, but the course itself, I did the social science and the arts stream, and I was aiming towards law and politics, and I mean it gives you a whole lot of things. It gives you, I suppose, the academic skills to go to and write legal essays and I suppose politics essays and do research and all that sort of stuff. But it also gives you networks within the college, so you're not going straight in. If you go straight in, I suppose as a mature student, you don't have those networks. You have a mature student officer, but that's it. With TAP, you have a whole load of other networks where and financial, as they mentioned as well. But I suppose what else could I? What advice I could give them? Just be brilliant. Nah, that's advice I got from a lecturer actually about exams. Be brilliant. It doesn't tell you anything, but if you're interested, go for it. And as I said, make sure you take time out to kind of go over the application form. It's the most. It's actually, I think it's the most difficult part. Getting in is the most difficult part. Once you're in, you're in the door. It's hard, kind of. It's basically hard to fail when you come to Trinity. They don't want people failing. So once you're in, you're in. And I mean, I can't really give you any more information, from.
In terms of what did you write as part of the application form, you have to write an essay, and it's meant to be on something in the media that interests you, topic that you like. I think it's 750 words.
Yeah. Did you write I wrote actually. I remember now. At the time, I didn't really know what to write about. I was kind of looking in the media, and I wanted something different. And I'd been actually living in Argentina for a while, and I heard about these emerging economies like Brazil and China and Russia and all. Would kind of give her I suppose what would you say? They're going against the US, trying to put US dominance, a regional kind of heavyweight countries, big economies and stuff like that. So I wrote about that. It was fairly basic, but it was something I was interested in, and I was able to do the research for it and kind of, yeah.
That's a really good example, because I'm not a word of a lie. I remember reading your essay now, and we only shortlist 60 applicants for interview. And one of the big things is that essay, and I remember your essay because that essay was written the same year as the Japanese earthquake. And the earthquake in Japan happened, I think, 2 weeks before the closing date for our application. And I think 95% of applicants wrote in the Japanese earthquake. And even if their essays were amazing, it was actually really hard to read them because a lot of them were rehashing the news. They all were very similar. It became very hard to distinguish them. Whereas there was a couple of people like you, there was another applicant who wrote an amazing one all about cheese that I still remember. And they stood out. So please, write something about something in the media, but write something that you're interested in, and try not to just go on the main news story of that fortnight, because it doesn't mean you won't be shortlisted, but you want to do something that gets you noticed.
I think last year everyone was at Hurricane Katrina. Not everyone, but a lot of people wrote about Hurricane Katrina. And I can imagine this year we'll have a lot of essays on Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
A lot of, those big, huge stories get really, and you can see why it captures people's attention because it is very, very interesting. But if you want to stand out, some people might, just like that with about cheese or emerging economies, or somebody wrote about emerging applications like Phonax last year, based about community. Another person took an article from the National Geographic and wrote about that.
Or a local newspaper, whatever it might be. Write is something that you're passionate about and that you can put a structured piece together on. If you want to write on a big news story of that fortnight, that's fine, and it doesn't mean you wouldn't get shortlisted. It's just, you wanted me to do something that's memorable. Cheese is memorable.
That's the thing. It doesn't have to be something that's like mainstream media. It can be like, you can just pull it from anywhere, like, and just, you can talk about anything, and you could just pull an article from it, like, and it'd be in the media somewhere. It's current affairs, really, isn't it? It's kind of like, it's not so much like big mainstream media type of things. Anything at all. Yeah. Anything.
Thank you, Rosie.
All right.
Hi guys, I'm Aoife. I'm not a mature student, but I missed it by a few months because I'm just nearly about, I think, 4 months under the mark of being a mature student. But I suppose it's just mainly just advice. I went through the young adult route. It was in the same year as Rob, so we were both in the same, some of the same classes, I think. 1 or 2, was it? Just the core subjects. Yeah, something like that. It was core subjects and then something else. I did the art stream and I'm in English in second year now. I suppose it's just basically a bit of advice. A lot of the mature students that you talk to them afterwards, and I see them in my classes now. One of the biggest things I think was during maths, that they just felt really like, some of them hadn't even done the Leaving Cert, some of them only had primary school education, some of them were just, it was head-wrecking for them. They just couldn't get their head into it, and it was very nervous. There's a really big confidence issue, I think, with mature students, where they just think that they can't do it. There's a massive blockage in their lives. They don't think it's just going to work for them or anything. But I was kind of in the same route as well. Like, there was a massive gap between when I did my Leaving Cert and when I actually went to do English. I didn't know if I could do English now. I think my last thing was my Leaving Cert paper, when I tried to write an English essay on it, and I didn't know what academic English was like. I didn't know anything about how to write an essay, what was involved in the whole process. But doing TAP, it brings all this into focus. It makes you aware, and it definitely showed me all the skills that I need to use. So I think the best bit of advice I would just say, it is a lot of work, but if you just do what they set out, they just tell you what to do. Once you get in, there's support for all of the stuff. If you have like a very basic level of something, or if you don't have any knowledge of it at all, if you're really interested in it, that will encourage you to keep going with it. You know what I mean? Don't be put off by, oh, it's such a big, like the science is like, oh, physics or something, or even if it is English. English was a big thing for me. I was more afraid of that than I would be of science, but I did it anyway. It was a bit nerve-wracking, but I got through it. I did well, and I got into it. So don't let it discourage you. You'll get through it. Once you just do the work steady, slow and steady wins the race. You'll get there, you'll pass it, you get through it, and then it's just a little bit of progression from then on in. That's, I suppose, all I can say.
I suppose now we're going to make ourselves available for a few minutes at the end so you can talk to us one-to-one. But do you have any questions for anyone here, whether it be Gráinne, myself, Rob or Aoife? Does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
After that, I've done a lot of, like, I used to read a lot, so that kind of helped. And then I lived away, did Spanish course while I was away, trying to pick up the language, so that kind of helped as well. With me English, basically, like, understanding and just worked up that kind of, I didn't have proper, vocational skills.
It's a good question, though, and I would say you're more of an exception. Most of the mature students who come into us in kind of 3 or 4 years before starting the foundation course have done some kind of adult education, whether it be through VTOF, BTAC, former FOLS, or sometimes they've done a couple of Leaving Cert subjects or a couple of junior cert subjects, because it warms them up. it's a huge shock to the system to come into and do the foundation course from a very limited educational base. So most people have done something, but you had read a lot and your essay was very good and you had done the Spanish course, so you were showing this kind of ongoing personal educational development path. So absolutely we take students like that. But most people come in having done adult education.
And I think sometimes even if you've done some of those courses while you've been working, like that can stand to you as well. If you've done a lot of personal reading and personal development, recreational, personal learning, and then those courses that sometimes people do when they're working can be used.
Because again, you're showing that you're learning, you're sticking at things, working with deadlines. Reading is a big question that you asked about in the interview. Do you like reading? What have you read? So if you say at that point, I hate reading, I don't read, I've never read, it's not looking good. Because obviously studying here involves a huge amount of reading. So be prepared to talk about a book you really like. Not in depth, because the chances are the interviewer may not have read it, but that you can say, yes, I read, this is the kind of book I like, and be able to talk about the themes and storyline of the book. It doesn't have to be a highbrow, we're not looking for Becca, just that you're reading something. Any other questions?
She was one of our quieter students. She hardly said a word. It was difficult to get a word out. And then she appears on television doing stand-up.
Yes and no. I'll talk to you one-to-one about that at the end. Yeah. Generally no, but it depends on the circumstances. Yeah. So the application form for mature students has a lot of, you can put a lot of information about personal circumstances, so that could be taken into
The applications went online last year, and generally they were successful. One thing I would say to you is that when you are filling, and we'll talk about this with students at the morning, but if it does happen to open up next week and you want to practice or whatever, do your application, practice typing it up maybe offline, and then when you're ready to submit it, you can do a copy and paste kind of thing. So that would be just something, because sometimes computer systems can time out, or your own computer can time out, or it just you can't control that. So sometimes people say, I